Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. I'm joined by Ali and Jack and myself, the usual bunch, and we're going to be recapping the New York Jets versus the Philadelphia Eagles game yesterday. We got a lot of things to talk about, whether it is the terrible performance from the New York Jets team yesterday, especially the defense, whether it's the NFL officiating we can talk about, Zach Wilson's second game after coming back from an injury. We also get some breaking news actually an hour before the stream. Unfortunately for the Jets, starting wide receiver Corey Davis is out for the season with a core injury. So that's definitely another Jets player to add to the injury list. I actually just made a tweet today real quick. I'll read it. What if I told you before the season that these players will be injured for the Jets? Carl Lawson, Mekhi Becton, Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner, Bryce Huff, Jared Davis, Corey Davis, Michael Carter, Tyler Kroft, Zach Wilson. We have no good luck. So with that being said, welcome to the stream, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day. Unfortunately, we're not celebrating Victory Monday, but make sure you smash that thumbs up button for the boys. And yeah, we appreciate the support as always. So Ali, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just chilling. I'm not too butthurt like other fans are for this loss. I kind of just saw. I really don't expect much from the season, anyways, from the begin with. But the guys that I want to play well did play well yesterday. Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, AVT. So like those younger guys were playing well. So that's kind of what you can take. The Jets are far away from a playoff team, far, far away. A lot of holes left, but I know I was just trying to see the positives in the team, and for once, because I always look at the negatives. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad of a loss, I feel, but and I think we could have been a little bit closer if we had a kicker at that time, and yeah, I mean, it hurts that we lost the Eagles because I go to school at Rowan, so there's a lot of Philly fans here, so everyone was wearing Eagles jersey today, but just like I really wish I could wear a Jets jersey, but that streak still lives that we have not beat the Eagles. So yeah, it's whatever. But again, I'm not too butthurt about the game. I didn't want to get it into my brain as other people have. Kind of used to it already. So seeing Corey Davis go down though is a little bit of a question mark for me. But that gives Denzel Mims a little bit of a shot. So yeah, we're probably going to get into that more. But yeah, man, I'm doing good.
Yeah, we're all doing great off this phenomenal Jets game yesterday. Right, guys? Right, everybody in the chat? I see people saying it's not a bad loss. Some people say it was a terrible loss. But a loss is a loss. So, Jack, what's up, man? How you feeling today? And what's your overall, quick little recap of the game before we get into all the details?
I'm feeling all right, man. Yesterday's game was just kind of a tale of two halves. I mean, the defense was pretty bad all game, obviously, as we saw, but the offense couldn't put up a single point on the board all second half. So it was a very disappointing end to the game after what could have been a very promising, what was a promising start, what could have been a very good game for Zach Wilson if he kept up the pace that he was playing at in that first half. Obviously, 3 total touchdowns from Zach Wilson, 1 turnover. It's definitely better. It's definitely an improvement. But again, shutting down completely in the second half. Our defense allowing the Bears, the Eagles to, have the ball for the first 9+ minutes of the second half is just absolutely ridiculous, man. So the defense is just way too inconsistent. I think the offense, has obviously been on the up anyway, but now that it's finally good to see the offense look good, at least for part of a game. with Zach Wilson at the quarterback spot. So it's another just, frustrating loss. Here we are 3-9. It's another, wash of a season. Obviously we knew that this season was, all about developing this young team, and that's happened in certain areas and hasn't happened in other areas. So it's quite a frustrating year, add all the injuries to the list, and it's just, another frustrating season of Jets football that we're in. So it is what it is, man, but it's on to the Saints now, who are probably going to kick our ass. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely recapped it pretty well. I agree with everything. The Jets yesterday, you guys heard my recap, my video. You guys heard my recap. I made a video today about Zach Wilson and why I think that Jets fans should take that game yesterday as a really promising sign of his development. So if you guys want to check that video out, I uploaded that this morning. So yesterday, obviously, the biggest reason why we lost is the defense. The defense was an utter disaster. It was a joke. It was a nightmare. And everything that we saw yesterday was Gardner Minshew just dissecting, knowing exactly where to go with the ball, just exposing the holes of this defense. And it was really frustrating because what I noticed about this Jets defense so far this season is the defensive line dominates when we go up against a bad offensive line. When we go up against a good offensive line, they can't do anything. So that tells you that this Jets D line, they're good, they're not great, because when the matchups goes in our favor, like for example against the Tennessee Titans, that O-line is not good in pass protection, we get 7 sacks. We go up against the Houston Texans, that offensive line is not good, we get 5 sacks. So when we go up against bad offensive lines, this Jets D-line looks like elite, top notch in the entire NFL. But then we go up against a really good front like the Philadelphia Eagles, and we cannot get to the quarterback. And that's an example that we need more depth and need an edge presence on this defensive line. Obviously Carl Lawson's been out all year, so it's really hard to say like, oh, we're missing Lawson. But at the end of the day, this Jets D line is indeed the heart and soul of this defense. Without them getting pressure on the quarterback, the whole thing fails. And that's the biggest reason why the Jets were getting destroyed all day long on the defensive end, because we cannot stop the run. We let them just run all over us, and Gardner Minshew had 5 seconds to throw every single time. So if you give a quarterback that much time to throw in the pocket, there's 100% chance that there's going to be somebody open, especially with the young corners that we have in the secondary for the New York Jets. And obviously the officiating was an utter disaster. That was not the reason why the Jets lost this game, but it was absolutely disgraceful to see the NFL officiating continuously not just make one bad call, but consecutive bad calls going against the Jets. Shout out to Robert Saleh for actually showing some fire on the sidelines, because you want to see your coach, fight about those calls, because it's frustrating when us Jets fans see these bad calls and then say, hypothetically, we see Saleh on the sideline and he's like, doesn't really care. But for him to go out there and show like he actually cares and gives a shit and is passionate and was fighting for his guys and proving like, hey, that's not right. That's a bad call. Like, we need him to show fire. So that's a good thing. And then with Zach Wilson, man, my whole thoughts on him, obviously, if you guys want to hear my deep detail on Zach Wilson, I broke down his highlights earlier today in my video. But my overall summary of Zach Wilson's day yesterday is, me personally, I think Jets fans should take that game as a big-time positive, because I think that was Zach Wilson's best game of the season, because that is an example of a sustainable quarterback play. What he did against the Tennessee Titans was flashy, off script, off schedule. You can't sustain that type of play throughout your NFL career. But what Zach Wilson did yesterday is he played within the system. He showed great footwork, showed great mechanics, showed great comfortability in the system and poise. And that's the one thing I've been begging Zach Wilson to show us so far this season, is look comfortable in the pocket, understand where the ball's supposed to go, play within the system, 1, 2, 3, step back, drop, hitch, ball out quickly, timing is there, and that's exactly what we saw from Zach Wilson. And I love that he continuously is developing and making strides. Did he have a perfect game? Absolutely not. The first half was absolutely phenomenal, and the second half, obviously, he did not get the ball a lot, and when he did get the ball, he did not really do anything in order for the Jets to capitalize and get any points on the board. And I think defense was the biggest reason why the offense got held back. Listen to this crazy stat. With 4 minutes left in the second quarter, when the Jets had to punt the ball to the Eagles, that was the first time they actually punted. They got 3 straight touchdowns. From that moment, the Jets offense did not get the ball back until 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And in real time, the Jets offense and Zach Wilson had to sit for 1 hour and 45 minutes, if you include halftime. So the offense was sitting ice cold for an hour and 45 minutes. That is just a terrible performance from the defense. If you have a young quarterback that's finally in rhythm, the last thing you need to do is not put the ball in his hands and continuously just put Zach Wilson in a situation where he's falling behind and he has to throw for 38 times in this game, and he's forced to just throw the ball down the field. And that's just a recipe for disaster, and the defense is the biggest culprit. It's really unfortunate that we cannot get all three phases of the ball clicking at the same time. The special teams look great and they look terrible. Braxton Berrios is just a Pro Bowl kick returner if I ever saw one, getting that 80-yard kickoff return. But then the kicker situation is an utter joke. Kessman, goodbye. See you later. We got a new guy coming in already, so we got a new kicker in the building. The kicking carousel continues. But my overall thoughts, guys, Zach Wilson, I think he made a big step forward in his development, because all I want to see from Zach is to show confidence and poise and looking like an actual NFL quarterback. And that's what he showed me. He showed flashes of stepping up into the pocket and making those easy throws. He also showed signs of rolling out to his right and doing those off-schedule plays that we saw at BYU, which is why everyone fell in love with him. And yes, he had a lot of things and he still needs to work on. It was not a perfect game by any means. He had an interception that was absolutely terrible. The ball slipped out of his hands and he tried to force it over the middle to Jamison Crowder. Interception. He also missed a couple of easy layup throws that he still needs to work on. It was not a perfect game, but he did show a lot of signs of promise for the future, because all the season is about right now, especially where we're at, is the development of Zach and him showing that he can be a quarterback in this league, because that's the X factor for this entire franchise moving forward. So with that being said, I want to hear your guys' deep thoughts about Zach Wilson's game. Again, guys, if you want to hear my thoughts even more in detail, I made a video about it this morning, and I brought up some highlights, and I broke down some film about his footwork and his mechanics and all that stuff. So check that out. So Ali, what was your thoughts about Zach Wilson yesterday? Here's his stats. Just what are your thoughts about the Rook?
Yeah, that was a complete quarterback game for him. We saw his remarkable throwing arm against Tennessee. We saw all that great stuff, but this time I saw him being smart with the ball. Besides that one interception, and he said that he just lost grip of the ball on that pick. Other than that, I feel like he made the right decision. He was throwing the ball away. He was throwing on the ground when he was under pressure. He's not taking bad sacks. I mean, he took a couple of hits like he's done all year long from this offensive line. I don't know, whenever Zach's out there, the offensive line just doesn't want to block anyone. And he just gets drilled every play. But he made some smart decisions all game, besides that one play that maybe he just threw that. Maybe he was correct. Maybe he just let it go loosely, and that was just his fault. So he owned up to that. But other than that, I think he made the right decisions. Receivers not catching the ball is also not on him. There was a lot of drops from receivers that, maybe there was a little bit of low passing or whatever, but as an NFL wide receiver, you need to make that catch. It's just that simple. All these quarterbacks have good, receivers and are reliable. Wilson really, besides Moore is the only reliable target, maybe Crowder, for Zach Wilson. So he's just trying to figure out, who is going to step up for him and make those catches. Corey Davis is out for the season, so it's not Corey Davis anymore. So who's going to step up besides Elijah Moore? So you got to look at that. But Zach Wilson played an extraordinary game. People aren't overlooking it in a way because his stats are not great. But if he got the ball in the third quarter a little bit more, he could have maybe had 300 yards easily, a 300-yard game, because he was hot. In the first half, he looked really good. But then he just never got the ball back. And, if you ever played football or any sport, if you're sitting on the bench for a while and you're standing there watching, you cool off really quickly. You're not looking at the field correctly. You just want to go back out there and you get antsy. And then you throw bad interception, you throw bad passes, and the offense just gets out of sync. And that's what happened to them this game. So, going from 18 points in the first half and scoring 0 in the second, that just shows you how bad the defense played. And then the offense just couldn't do anything with the ball because Philly knew that the defense was bad and they were just milking the clock the entire time. So I think we got the ball around like the 7-minute mark of the third quarter. So, it's for Zach Wilson. I liked his progressions. He was looking at everyone. His footwork was really good. It was much better from the other games. He was more steady. He was more calm. And that's what you need from a rookie quarterback. he's trying to calm down a little bit more. And I think that's what he's learning. The last 2 games he's played, he looks a little bit more calmer than we saw him from the previous game. He looks a little before he looked very antsy. He didn't look great in the pocket, but now he's developing into a quarterback that can, stay in the pocket, take the hit, but also deliver the play. He's looking at his progressions. He's trusting his receivers, but his receivers are not coming up for him. So overall, I think he did a great job. And we're gonna take L's. Zach Wilson's gonna take L's, but this is a W for his progression wise. He did a rushing touchdown. He got denied the first time, but then he took it in right at. He's like, I'll take it again, and I'll get it in this time. So I think he played a great game, and if he can continue this progression, have more touchdowns than interception and turnovers every game, that's a plus for the Jets because they have the Saints and Dolphins coming up. If he can have a good game against the Saints and Dolphins, we're seeing progression out of him. And that's kind of what the season was all about from the beginning with. So again, that was a great performance by him. And that's why I'm not bitter right now because Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, AVT, all these young guys, Bryce Hall, all these guys had a good game.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the young team as a whole, they're going to struggle. And they had a really tough, the defense as a whole had a terrible game. And, Zach Wilson, I think me personally, that was his most impressive performance in terms of, like I said, doing what you're supposed to do as an NFL quarterback that's more sustainable because what he did against the Titans, you're not going to be able to make those splashy plays every single time. But what he did yesterday is definitely promising. And hopefully he can build on this and he can continue it on for the rest of the season. So, Jack, what was your thoughts about the rookie quarterback's performance yesterday?
I think that it was, another up and down, just kind of growing performance for Zach. Obviously, it was, on the better side of things, I would say. And, Ali said before that apparently Zach said, I guess to the media after the game, whatever, that the ball slipped on that pick. That was a very bad pick. So hopefully something went awry, whether it was the ball slipping or I don't know, but hopefully that wasn't just Zach throwing that ball because that was a very bad pick. But it was overall a good game for Zach, man. I mean, I think I also want to say that in last week's game, I feel like LaFleur was kind of holding back the offense a little bit. And I think it was good to see the offense kind of open back up this week. And it was good to see Zach, do what we've said for a while now, start to take the boring plays and take the check downs and just take what's open. And he wasn't, trying to make something out of nothing yesterday as much as he typically does. He was getting out of the pocket. Nothing was there. He would, throw the ball away or, not take an unnecessary sack. The one thing I will say about Zach's game that Richie was saying on our live stream yesterday during the game was that we need to see Zach Wilson start to take advantage of his own athleticism a little more and use his legs to gain positive yards wherever there's a window to. You've seen successful, I don't want to call Zach Wilson or, I'm about to compare it to Russell Wilson. I don't want to call either of them scrambling quarterbacks, but even if you're just going through your progressions and you see an opportunity for 5-6 yards with your legs, take it and use the opportunity to get positive yards for your team. There was definitely a couple instances where Zach, as opposed to throwing it downfield, heaving it, 60 yards downfield, or trying to throw it into a tight window, just use your legs a little bit, man, and get 5-6 yards and, stay ahead of the sticks. Just little things like that as Zach progresses and moves forward, I think he'll get better at doing. But overall, it was a pretty solid game for him. I think it's just a matter of, like Ali said, in the second half, we just really didn't get to see the offense that much, and they didn't get any opportunity to get any real rhythm going because, as you said, Rich, in real time, they had almost had 2 hours before they played again, counting halftime. So, yeah, it's definitely just not a winning recipe. So we got to put most of this, pretty much all of this, honestly, on the defense, I'd say. But outside of the fluke interception, I think Zach had a positive day, and I'd like to see him, continue to move forward from a game like this. I need to see Zach Wilson throw for over 300 yards, man. I know it's not asking too much. Let's see it. 300 yards before the season ends, please. Please, can we see him throw for 300 or more yards? But it was a solid game.
Yeah, I hope so too. And yeah, like you said, Jack, with the whole scrambling thing, I brought that up on the stream, like you said, and I couldn't agree more. I think that Zach Wilson is an athletic quarterback, and he has back-to-back games with rushing touchdowns, which is great to see. And he needs to use his legs more. And I'm not asking him to be Kyler Murray. I'm not asking him to be Josh Allen or or Lamar Jackson. But if you go back and look at his college tape, he had a tendency to use his legs way more often. And I know that he's not a bigger quarterback, so you don't want him taking hits. But if you go and use your legs and slide, you should. Like, there was one play that really stood out to me the most. And I watched it in film, and I was like, wow, he really should have ran on this. I don't know if you guys remember the exact play, but he got sacked. He stepped up into the pocket. The pocket was collapsing, and there was like a really wide open window for him to just scramble to the right, pick up at least 5 to 6 yards. But instead, he just sits there and he takes a sack. And I feel like that's more tendency and feel with the game. But another thing that I will say about his mobility right now, I don't know if it's holding him back, but his knee is like wrapped up big time. And I don't know if he's like, holding back at all running the ball. But even early on in the season, he didn't take advantage of it. So you can't even use that as an excuse. So it's really more tendencies for him. And I feel like he doesn't really have the mindset of like, I got to take the advantage of, some scrambles whenever the opportunity presents itself. So I definitely want to see him do that. I agree with you for sure. So now going on from Zach Wilson, now we have to get into the bad stuff. The Jets defense was an utter disaster yesterday. You can't even script it up worse. I said it earlier on. I think the biggest reason why the defense was so bad is the Jets defensive line got destroyed from the Eagles offensive line. This Eagles O-line have veterans all over it, and they are established as one of the best offensive fronts in the league, and they just went crazy on us. If you guys remember, when we went up against the Indianapolis Colts, the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and they just rushed down our throats and just destroyed us, and we cannot get to Carson Wentz. So it seems like this Jets D-line looks phenomenal against bad O-lines, and they cannot do anything against good O-lines. And obviously that's a concerning factor, and we need a true edge presence in order to really get that out. We have JFM playing out of position at the edge. He's more of a D tackle, and it just seemed like the guys up front just lacked whatever it was. And then, across the middle, CJ Mosley gave up the touchdown. You can really pinpoint each individual player, but as a whole and as a coaching staff, they just were not prepared, and the Eagles just completely exposed whatever game plan that they did have. And it's a big concern. The safeties, Ashton Davis had one good play, but outside of that, he didn't really do that much. Elijah Riley didn't do anything to help out. I think Bryce Hall had an excellent game. I think he's the only bright spot to the defense. He had a phenomenal pass breakup in the end zone. He held Devontae Smith to 2 receptions for 15 yards. He had that disgusting pass interference call on him on Dallas Goedert. I don't even want to get into that. That was an utter joke of a call. I mean, the ball was literally 5 yards in front of him, and Dallas Goedert and him were playing hands, and they call it on Bryce Hall. Absolutely disgraceful. I don't think Bryce Hall should deserve any criticism for that, in my opinion. I think Bryce Hall is the only bright spot to the defense, but when the entire defense looks that bad, there's really not a bright spot individually because it's all about 11 guys playing together as a team, and they just simply did not do that. And I put this blame on the defensive line, lacking their pressure on Gardner Minshew and lacking the ability to really stop the run. So, Ali, what's your thoughts about the Jets defense, and what do you think was the biggest issue, and what do they need to fix? Is it a talent issue? Is it a coaching issue? So what are your thoughts about the defense?
It's like they pick and choose what games they want to be alive in. They just choose whatever game they want to go off on, and then they just disappear in the next game, which is very inconsistent for a team if they want to win ball games. Either the offense plays good one week and then the defense sucks, or the defense is absolutely insane and the offense sucks. It never is both for the Jets this year. It just has been that kind of year. But the Jets have a lot of holes right now. They have a lot of holes, especially in that secondary. Yes, we have Bryce Hall, but other than that, everything else is questionable. All those other guys could be replaced easily. A lot of those guys wouldn't even be on a roster in any other team, maybe not even practice squad. So if you think about it, the Jets need a lot of talent coming in, and that's what they're going to have to go and overhaul in the free agency and probably mostly in the draft, where there's a lot of great defensive players out there. But, the overall, there's wide open receivers and there's no defenders 10 yards away from he was wide open on a 3rd and 10 or something like that. Oh, I forgot who it was. And there was no one near him. It was literally nowhere near him. And he started going the other way. Actually, the Eagles player went the other way because he stumbled, but he still made the first down because there was no defender there. So it's just, I don't know if it's lack of effort or It's the coaching. I don't know what it is, but it definitely is talent. The Jets just don't have enough talent on this defense. It's all young guys going out there and try to um, just play ball because we all know the injuries. And yeah, like Richie said, the defensive line, when the defensive line plays well, everyone plays well on that defense. And because that's their strength. And it's a born fact, if you don't have pressure on the quarterback, the secondary is going to have a hard day. We just don't have any pass rush. And the discipline was not there. I mean, we finally got to Minshew, and then there was a face mask call. There was another call against I forgot who it was. I think I wrote it down here, but there was another guy that sacked him, Shaq Lawson, and then he got another penalty on him. So when the Jets did something positive, it would be a negative. And it's just the discipline part of it. You should not make those mistakes. And if you guys are not playing as a defensive line, if you're not playing as a group, playing as a whole, and not playing as a force, it's never gonna work. And I feel like that's just been the year for that defensive line. When they play together, they succeed, and that was last week. And this week against the Eagles, they just didn't do any of that. So it always starts with the defensive line, and then it goes forward because the secondary is very young. It's very unexperienced, and then the missed tackling, just a lack of discipline. CJ Mosley jumping off sides on fourth down, stuff like that is stuff that we hate to see from a team. And that's young, that's the pain of having a young team. But when you see CJ Mosley doing that, an experienced player on the defense, that's concerning. Why is he jumping off sides when all the other guys are not jumping? It's just a very confusion on that defensive side. I don't know what's going on. I think they need more experience, but also you got to put some blame on the coaching staff. Obviously, there's no firings that are going to happen like that, but I wonder if Robert Saleh is going to take over the defensive calling anytime soon and see if that can work out, and just see if he can spark this defense in some type of way. But yeah, the lack of discipline, the lack of just being there like on point has just not been there for that Jets defense, and they just got Minshew yesterday. Like literally, he was just going down the field. They're having their way. Scott Sanders were running all over them, and they had nothing to prove. They were just running. They were wasting time the entire game. And the offense, who actually were playing good, they kept them off the field. They got cooled off, and the Eagles won the ball game. So, that's just, if you can't play as a team, you're not going to win ball games. And the defense needs an overhaul. They're going to need to get better, but they're not going to be getting better until March, April when they hit free agency and the draft. So, yeah, it's just the defense just looked awful.
Yeah, I think the defense was so bad, and it's been pretty bad this season as a whole, as we all know. I think it is a lot of things you can bring up what's wrong with this defense. I think the talent is a big reason for it, and I think that the Jets might have to take two defensive players in the top of the first round and get new free agents because we are lacking people out there to make plays for us. And also the Jets coaching staff needs to be held accountable because there's one play in particular that I think, Ali, you were talking about. It was 3rd and 19. And Jeff Ulbrich called a cover one blitz, man-to-man coverage with the one high safety. I don't know why you call that when it's 3rd and 19. You should be calling a safe zone where, you just make sure the ball does not get behind you. And what happens? Jason Pinnock is, matched up one-on-one with someone in the slot. Jason Pinnock falls to the ground. It's man-to-man coverage. And that's why that guy was wide open, because that Jason Pinnock, the rookie cornerback, got beat on his route and he was on the ground. And that's why he was wide open. I don't like that play call on 3rd and 19 at all. So they need to fix that. That is definitely a coaching issue right there. And Ulbrich needs to be held accountable for that because that was an utter disgrace of a defensive performance from everybody on that team. So I think that the Jets have a lot of work to do in free agency and the draft this offseason to address this defense because this offense looks way better than the defense. And who the hell would have thought that? As Jets fans, we're used to the defense carrying us. And right now, the tide has changed. So, Jack, what's your thoughts about the Jets' defensive struggles? Who needs to be held accountable the most and what needs to change, whether it's this season or even in the offseason?
I think we just got a wake-up call, man. We were flying high after a good defensive performance after the Texans, and then we go and we, face a good offensive team like the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we get our asses handed to us, and we give up, was it 24 points in the first half? I think it was 24 points in the first half, 33 points total. So honestly, the defense had a better second half. Although they were out there for so freaking long and couldn't get off the field, they were holding them to field goal attempts every time. So there was at least that you could say. But it was just, man, a horrible, horrible day. I think this defensive line really needs to look themselves in the mirror and get this inconsistent under control, because if it's supposed to be one of the top defensive fronts in the league, they're certainly not playing like it this year. And I mean, they have some games where they're on, and then the majority of games where they just look like they don't even belong, man. Just couldn't really get anything going, couldn't make the big play. I agree that Bryce Hall was a bright spot. I've got to say that the officiating was truly, truly horrible in this game. Like the worst I've seen in a while. Really, really bad calls. Everything was going the Eagles' way, it felt like. And just super, super frustrating to watch it go down like that. I just think this defense is, although we have promising young pieces, just the inexperience all across the board really shows when you're going against offensive linemen like Jason Kelce and, veterans of that caliber. So it's just, I think we were it was almost a trap yesterday going against a guy like Gardner Minshew. There's obviously some tape out there on Gardner Minshew, but there's not really any Eagles tape out there on Gardner Minshew in the Philadelphia system. Not that really would have mattered, honestly. I think they had our number regardless yesterday. Gardner Minshew came out and he was slinging the rock. And one point I will say, we need to draft somebody or sign somebody or claim somebody that can just shadow tight ends, man, because I mean, we cannot keep putting Javelin Guidry on the tight end and think it's going to be a success when we just see time and time again that it's not going to work. So we need somebody that can shadow tight ends. And because it seems like, every week we just get absolutely lit up across the middle. Or yesterday it was, down the field to Dallas Goedert. Both of his touchdowns were long passes. So I don't know what it is with the Jets and covering tight ends, man, but we really need to figure that out. And that's on, Joe Douglas. That's on the coaching staff. Not as much as the players, obviously. We just need to, find the right pieces for the right situations. And we just, don't really have a talented roster. I know, we're all Jets fans, so we love these guys and we're rooting for them all. But at the end of the day, is Jason Pinnock, going to be an effective player in the NFL? Maybe, but probably not. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? So it's just these guys really need to develop. We've been riddled with injuries, especially on the defense. I mean, everybody from, both of our starting safeties, LaMarcus Joyner, Marcus May, and then, to the defensive line with Vinny Curry and, of course, Carl Lawson. Jared Davis missed the majority of the season. He comes back and he's not really a factor anyway. We're just dealing with injuries all across the board in every spot. So it's really tough on, a young and inexperienced defense like this. But it's a little disappointing that, two respected defensive guys like Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh just cannot seem to figure it out. I know we always say this, they're learning and developing right alongside the players. That's their first year in the positions that they're both in. But, this has got to be turned around, man. It's way too inconsistent on the defensive side of the ball. And, the Eagles are still a sub 500 team. They're significantly better than the Jets and the Texans. But, you can't look like you did against a piss poor team like the Texans. And then, against an average at best team like the Eagles, look completely different than you looked the week before, especially returning to your home stadium, wearing the black jerseys, man. It was just tough. It was just not a good day for the defense in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were asking for someone to come into this Jets team to shadow tight ends. I see everybody in the chat saying that we should tank for Hamilton. Hamilton is probably becoming a Jets fan favorite in the draft. He's the safety hybrid guy that is a ball hawk and could line up on a safety and shadow them. And I know a lot of Jets fans are hoping that he can become a New York Jet. So we'll see about that. I'm going to make more draft content on this channel later on in the season. I've definitely been doing my homework of the draft prospects, and I'm excited to get into that because this Jets draft is going to be so much fun. Right now, we still have the 4th and 5th pick with the Seahawks draft pick as well. And Hamilton, sign me up. Sign me up. So we got some interesting bad news for the Jets that I want to hear your guys' thoughts of real quick. Corey Davis is officially out for the season. He'll be getting core surgery. The only positive that this brings to the Jets is it truly gives Denzel Mims an opportunity to prove to this Jets organization if he's part of the future or not. If you guys remember, beginning of the season, it was really rough for Denzel. He had wasn't getting the opportunity. He was a healthy scratch. Jets fans are like, what's going on? The Jets coaching staff doesn't believe in Mims. Get him out there, get him out there. And then Corey Davis goes down with an injury, and then Denzel Mims gets an opportunity. Denzel Mims does not take advantage of his opportunity at all. And then Denzel Mims got sick with COVID, and then he was back last week. He had one catch, only one target. But now Corey Davis is officially out for the year, and Denzel Mims is going to fill in for Corey Davis. So this is really Denzel Mims' last opportunity to prove to this Jets team if he's part of the future or not. He's not going anywhere. He's on a rookie contract, so he's going to be on the team next year, most likely. Probably as a depth piece if he doesn't prove to be a guy. But, Corey Davis is out, so this is Denzel Mims' time to shine. And I will say, Corey Davis definitely had an interesting Jets season as his first season for the New York Jets. Starting off the year, he was Zach Wilson's favorite target. He had 2 touchdowns against the Panthers. He had 3 touchdowns with Zach Wilson in total. And he looked like a rookie quarterback's best friend. And then he started having inconsistencies, had a bunch of drops, so was injury prone. Definitely did not have the best season with the New York Jets. Started off strong, but did not end off strong. So hopefully he gets healthy in the offseason and he come back strong next year for the Jets. We definitely do need to bring in more wide receivers in the offseason as well. So, Ali, what's your thoughts about the Corey Davis news, him being out for the season?
Yeah, it is definitely a disappointment signing for at least the first year. We'll see what he can do next year when he comes back. I still think Corey Davis is a talented player. I don't think he's the number 1 for this team. I think it is going to be Elijah Moore who's going to be the number 1 for the Jets. But Corey Davis, he can make plays for you. But then also he has it's a head scratcher on some of the plays that he does in the drop passes that he has. But a lost season is not that bad of a loss. The offense might, we won last week without him. So, it's, Denzel Mims' time now. It's time to see if these younger guys can step up and make plays. This is your audition now. If you want to prove yourself, because Denzel Mims needs to prove himself now. He hasn't really done much. With Corey Davis out, maybe he's the guy that steps up. I really hope Mims or Jeff Smith or someone steps up, because then you'll see that the Jets are a little deep at wide receiver, because I think they are. I think Keelan Cole will get a lot more targets now, because I think Keelan Cole is probably one of our best receivers. I said that when we signed him, and not many people liked him, but whenever he's out there, he is catching the ball. He is doing whatever he can to catch the ball. He made that insane catch. Obviously, he didn't count that one game, but he's a playmaker. He's a guy who can make that clutch third down catch, the red zone catch. He can do all those things. So maybe they'll open up the playbook for him a little bit more. But with Corey Davis out, obviously I'd rather see him out there playing with Zach Wilson, because they were, Zach Wilson was trying to force feed him all preseason, all training camp, and they were trying to get something gelled together. But both of them have missed time constantly this season, so it's whatever now. I wanted to see him a couple games with them together and just see if they can get something going again. But we're going to have him next year most likely. Maybe they can get something together there. But Corey Davis being out is not a huge loss. It just gives the younger talent to get a chance to prove themselves, especially Denzel Mims. So I think the Jets are pretty good at wide receiver. They're going to definitely need to add 1 or 2 playmakers next year, especially at tight end. But and you just got to look at his wide receiver core and just be like, okay, now prove yourself. Denzel Mims, prove yourself. Jeff Smith, Keelan Cole, go ball out, and just see if you can step up and help your quarterback. So it is a big news, but it's kind of whatever at this point in the season.
Yeah, man. Any playmakers that goes down at the end of the stretch is definitely not a good thing for Zach Wilson, but it is a good thing for the receivers around him, and not to mention Elijah Moore. He's proven to be the number one receiver for this Jets team, and now the targets will be all about Elijah Moore. He's coming off getting 12 targets against the Eagles, reeling in 6 of those and having 77 yards and a touchdown. So Elijah Moore will continue to be the Jets' number one receiver. And hey, sign me up, baby. I'd rather E. Moore be the future of this team because he looks like an absolute stud. I'm excited to talk about him more later on. So, Jack, I know that you're a big Corey Davis fan, so why don't you let everyone know your thoughts about Corey Davis going out for the year and your thoughts on the season.
I'm a Corey Davis fan because I drafted him in fantasy, but he hasn't done much of anything this year besides.
Is that why you hate him, because of the fantasy factor more than anything else?
Honestly, I just think that he's a name that, if we're really being honest with ourselves, we kind of had to, buy into it a little bit, I mean, coming out of his career with the Texans, I believe he was drafted like 5th overall, right, when he came in out of college. So definitely never lived up to his draft hype. So we were like, okay, at least Corey Davis is a talented, kind of veteran player at this point. At least he could, be kind of a security blanket. And he was and he was not, and he was and he was not. And then he gets hurt, and then he aggravates that injury yet again. And now he's out for the season with a different injury. So it's just, Corey Davis's time as a Jet is not done yet. Obviously, nothing is set in stone yet, but certainly year one of the Corey Davis experiment has not panned out. So, I mean, I think Corey Davis is an awesome dude. Obviously, I wish him well. I wish him a speedy recovery. Nothing against him. But, obviously the numbers and the stats don't lie. And he's just, towards the beginning of the season, let's not forget how many dropped passes that he alone had. So, he definitely had his ups and downs this year for the Jets, and more downs than ups, if we're being real. So, I think that, I'm excited for Denzel Mims to get a real opportunity here over the course of, 5 games, not just, 1 game or 2 games, but he has a real opportunity here towards the end of the season. And, hopefully that can turn into something more, man, because I really do still have very high hopes for Denzel Mims. I think it would be a damn shame for, a physical prototype like Denzel Mims to go to waste on a team like this that, could always use the help and could always use the talent. I think it's ridiculous that we still haven't found a way to integrate him into the game plan a little bit more. So I'm excited for the opportunity that he's going to get. But, Corey's, very kind of down year for sure. So I don't think, the offense is really going to be missing him as much as, the casual fan might think when they hear that Corey Davis went down. Because, for the last month or month and a half, it's been the complete Elijah Moore show. And, I like Keelan Cole. I like Denzel Mims. So I like Jamison Crowder, obviously. Jamison Crowder is, still probably the most underrated New York Jet. He'll never get the respect he deserves. He's just an awesome dude. I love Jamison Crowder so much. And, so I really don't think the offense is going to be missing Corey Davis that much. But it just sucks, that he's, our biggest free agent signing, paying him somewhere between $12 and $13 million a year, I think, for 3 years. So that's, that's a good chunk of change. So it just sucks that it didn't pan out in year one, but we'll see what happens, man.
Yep, we'll see what happens. And we all know that the Jets need to add 1 or 2 more receivers. I'm expecting Joe Douglas to draft a receiver, whether that's early or late for sure. We need to, continuously bring in talent around Zach Wilson and especially Elijah Moore, because I think the Jets found a gem in Elijah Moore. And I think that he's definitely going to establish himself as the future of this Jets team, along with Michael Carter as the franchise running back, along with Elijah Vera Tucker as the franchise left guard. I think that Jets fans can say that with confidence. We're just waiting for Zach Wilson to prove to be the franchise quarterback, because so far he has not proved it yet. So the jury's still out on Zach. So we're hoping that he can finish off the season strong going into year number 2. We got 5 games left. Pretty crazy, man. The season is flying by. So, guys, to finish off the stream, we're going to open this up to a Jets Q&A. Anybody in the chat want to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Whether it's about the game yesterday or it's about the game coming up against the Saints, let us know. We got some, injury news. Corey Davis out for the year. We had a new kicker coming in, of course. The Jets kicking carousel continues. And it just seems like it's another one of those seasons, man. Another one of those seasons riddled with injuries, and we're in year number 1 of this Robert Saleh regime, and we're waiting to see some progress. And we get some flashes of it, but it's not consistent. So we'll see what happens. So let me know what you guys have to say in the chat, and we'll try to ask away any questions. JJ brings up a great point. I think that another big underrated point of this Jets team is George Fant. George Fant has given up, I think, 0 sacks all year, either 0 or 1. George Fant has slided in at left tackle to the point where that $10 million cap hit next year does not look bad because he is looking excellent. I mean, this offensive line has been making such good strides. Obviously, LDT went down yesterday. Unfortunately, hopefully he'll be okay. Connor McGovern's been making a big-time stride. And Morgan Moses has been looking like a quality right tackle. I know we gave up a sack yesterday, but in the run game, he's an absolute menace. And we all know AVT.
Absolutely, man. I totally agree with that. I think that, it's a great thing to know. Obviously, we'd rather have Becton out there healthy doing his thing, but, the tackle position, specifically the left tackle where we've, placed George Fant, obviously we know you can't understate the importance of that particular spot on the offensive line. So the fact that we know we have a quality piece to throw in there when our starter is missing time, you can't say enough good things about that, man. So hats off to George Fant, who's had, outside of AVT, definitely the best year out of any Jets lineman we've seen. So loving what George Fant has done.
And then going to the right tackle spot, Edward asks, do you think Moses will be gone after the season? I hope not, man. Listen, if I'm the Jets, I re-sign Morgan Moses as a depth piece. Maybe if he's not the starter, because Morgan Moses, remember, guys, was not starting week 1. George Fant was the starting right tackle, and Mekhi Becton was the left tackle. So Morgan Moses was that backup guy. And what happened? Mekhi goes down, and Morgan Moses slots in. So if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm re-signing Morgan Moses for depth, or even if he's the starting right tackle. I mean, I'd rather us draft a young guy for the future, but there's nothing wrong with having a solid veteran that's like 30, 31 years old on the offensive line. I feel like some people get afraid of that age, but when you're that old, and when you're at that age as an offensive lineman and a veteran presence and a mindset where you know what to expect, it's a very good thing, especially when you have a young Elijah Vera Tucker and a young Mekhi Becton still trying to get back. So hopefully Mekhi can get healthy at some point this year. We found out today that Robert Saleh said there's no update on Mekhi, so that injury definitely is not helping out his chances of coming back this year.
That would really suck, man.
Yeah, just tell us when he got hurt he's out for the year. Don't give us any hope.
That would really suck.
Ali, want to answer this one? What's your thoughts of Michael Carter as the running back?
Yeah, I mean, he's a stud. I don't know how you can put it. I mean, he's a guy who was supposed to be the backup of Tevin Coleman at the start of the season, but then his talent showed off, and I think that was a steal in the draft for the Jets. I think him falling that far and coming in, I think he's a perfect scheme fit for LaFleur. I think LaFleur is loving how he can use him, and just the effort that he has, the shiftiness he has is a running back. It kind of reminded me, hopefully he could be better than Bilal Powell for us, because Bilal Powell just got disrespected on the Jets being the running back 2 for years. But he could have been a running back 1. Just seeing Michael Carter out there just reminded me of Bilal Powell in a way. And I really do think he could thrive for years for us. The running back position is so difficult. It's very difficult to find. There's so many, you see these top running backs just getting injured left and right. And to see Michael Carter also go down, it sucked, especially with Zach Wilson coming back. I wanted to see him with a good running game with Michael Carter out there. But Michael Carter is the real deal. I think Michael Carter could be the running back for years to come, and I think he is just a great fit for this offense.
I agree, man. Hold on, I saw a good question. Jack, want to answer this one from Randy? Which position group do you fellas feel have been consistently decent this year?
Definitely the corners, for sure. For the fact that they're just, so young and inexperienced. I mean, Bryce Hall is our corner who we're placing the most faith in, where he's the guy that has to go and, shadow the Jamar Chases and the Devontae Smiths, and stuff like that. And he's a second-year, fifth-round draft pick. So, I mean, the fact that he's our most experienced cornerback, definitely the corners have been consistently doing awesome things this year. I also I don't know about all year, but definitely as of late in the last month or so, the offensive line, man, has really, really stepped up their game. They're playing good football. We can't really put these losses down on the offensive line. Zach has taken some sacks over the past couple weeks, but the running game has kind of exploded, and all of a sudden we have a viable running game again, even without Michael Carter out there. So I think the offensive line deserves some credit there as well. Every aspect of our special teams besides kicking, obviously, kicking is a disaster, but our special teams coverage has been awesome. Obviously, Braxton Berrios, we saw what he did yesterday with the 80-yard return, and so I think special teams definitely should get a shout out. Yeah, I think that's fair. And honestly, you know who I'll say as well is the running backs. I'll give them a shout out because Michael Carter, obviously we know he's the bona fide number one. Can't say enough good things about what he's done this year in his rookie season. But then you look at who else we got, and you got Tevin Coleman, a veteran who's always been in this same offensive scheme throughout his entire career. So he's the perfect veteran for us to have on this team. And, he's looking like he's 5 years younger all of a sudden, and he's got some pep in his step, man. So it's good to see him out there. Feels like he's always gaining positive yards whenever he has the football in his hands. So that's a great thing. Ty Johnson as well, although I feel like he had more of a down game yesterday. I feel like it was kind of the Tevin Coleman game yesterday. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And Richie's boy, Austin Walter, with three solid fantasy points yesterday for Richie. So yeah, man, I think the running backs have stepped up, because we kept saying all off season, running back by committee, and we were right about that, man. That's exactly what we got. We have 3 or 4 guys that could step up and fill the hole at any time and be productive. LaMichael P. Ryan obviously has a huge question mark still looming over his head. I think you can just erase the question mark and maybe just put an X at this point, right?
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, I would say so as well. But yeah, I mean, the fact that, he's another young guy and we don't even need him out there to still have very productive running backs, I think they definitely deserve a shout out as well.
I agree, man. I agree. Jacob asks, what is the one move that the Jets must make during the offseason, whether it's trading, signing, free agents, or just a draft in general? Who do we need to draft the most out of all the positions? I'll give you a position on both offense and defense. I think offensively, the one position we need a complete overhaul is tight end. I think the Jets should draft 2 tight ends and sign 2 tight ends, or sign 1. We need an entire new tight end room. We need weapons, because this offense requires a playmaker at the tight end position. We simply just do not have one. You see what George Kittle did yesterday for the Niners. Obviously, we're not going to be able to find a generational talent like George Kittle, but a tight end like that will do wonders for a young quarterback like Zach Wilson. So if I'm Joe Douglas, the one priority for me offensively is tight end. Of course, you always want to beef up that O-line and add playmakers in the wide receiver room as well, but tight end needs an overhaul. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think we need another edge presence. I think that with Lawson coming back, if we can get a true edge guy alongside of him, maybe at the top of the draft, if we can get lucky and get a guy like Hutchinson or Thibodeau, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do, because we'll literally have to be in the top 2 in order to get one of those guys. And also, we need a playmaker in the secondary for sure. We need a ball hawking guy, because as great as Bryce Hall is, he does not have an interception yet this year. He's not that ball hawk type. He's that sticky man-to-man guy that's going to, just play lockdown defense and just, swat the ball away, which is nothing bad about that. But we need somebody in the secondary that is a ball hawk that can go out there, rip the ball out of the air, and set up your offense in good field position. A guy like Hamilton is someone that comes to mind. So I think the biggest things that we need to get in the offseason is definitely tight end for me and playmakers on defense. and edge rusher on defense, because I think that this defensive line is the X factor for this defense. And if we can just continue, just add talent, we slide JFM to the defensive tackle spot where he's more comfortable with Quinn and Williams. We have Carl Lawson coming back, and then we get another edge presence on the other side. That four is – I'm comfortable with that. So I think that's really where I'm at with the Jets offseason going in. But we'll see, man. We'll see. So, Ali, you want to answer this one? How do you think Coach Saleh has been doing so far in his first year as a head coach?
He's had his struggles. He he started off, getting blown out. We got blown out for half our games so far in the season. There's a lot to blame on him, but there's also some leniency on him because he also knows that, first of all, you have the youngest roster in the NFL. You have a rookie offensive coordinator. He's trying to understand this team. Yesterday we saw him yelling on the sidelines pretty much the entire game, literally the entire game. And you saw him, he keeps it real in the press conferences. He doesn't want to say much. He defends his guys that are in the locker room. And, I'm a huge Robert Saleh fan, but I don't think he just hasn't found it. He's trying to figure it out, I feel. He's not a head coach just yet. I think he's trying to figure out how to be a head coach. I think he was ready, but he was more of for a win now team. If he went to a win now team, he would be a really good head coach right now. But this team is not a win now team, and I think he's starting to learn that a little bit now. So I think it's going to be a process with him. It's going to take some time to see. Hopefully next year we'll see an overhaul of a new team because he'll be able to draft his guys once again, and bring his guys in. But for Robert Saleh, I'm not going to give him an A. I'm not going to give him a B. I'll probably give him a C because he just hasn't done much to gain the trust of fans, but he's done enough to show on the field that he cares about the team, he cares about the players, and he's trying to win, and he's trying to be aggressive in a way. So I think he's just learning about how to be a head coach of this team. So that's all you can really get from this. But hopefully this helps him for the future, because I really do like Robert Saleh. I was hyped when we got Robert Saleh as our head coach because I didn't think he wanted to come here, and I really think he was going to go to a win now team, and we were obviously not a win now team at all. So to have him come in, I think we're just gonna have to work with him a little bit and just see what his mind, like what Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they're thinking of going young and building their own team, which takes a lot of time. So it's a different approach. So we just gotta wait. I know that's hard to do, but we're just gonna have to wait and be patient with Robert Saleh.
Yeah, man. Only time will tell. I agree with everything you said there. Last question of the stream we got from Rogue Nugget asks, hey, what are your thoughts, expectations on Zach Wilson and the offense will play against the Saints? Well, this game is going to be interesting because we're going up against another really good team in the trenches. And it seems like the Jets have been struggling against those type of opponents like the Colts, like the Eagles. The Saints are next up. The Saints obviously don't have, they have Taysom Hill as their quarterback. It's going to be the battle of the BYU quarterbacks, which would be pretty fun to watch. But my expectations from Zach is, build off of what he did this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Play good complementary football, not try to do too much and play within the system and just, put the ball in the end zone. It was great to see the Jets capitalize in the red zone for once. 3 straight possessions, they had the ball, they scored touchdowns. That's something that Jets have not really done a lot, especially with Zach Wilson on their quarterback. So if he can replicate what he did against the Eagles and maybe do even more, maybe he can get 250-plus yards, 275, maybe 300 yards. I'm not really too concerned about the stats. I just want him to play mistake-free, winning football, maybe become a game manager. Hopefully the offensive line can really move people. We can establish a run game. And I just want to see this offense, kind of explode. And unfortunately for us, the defense is going to be the X factor for us, because if the defense does what they did against the Eagles, there's no chance that the offense will ever get an opportunity for Zach Wilson to throw for 300 yards, for the offense to get into a rhythm. Because if you lose a time of possession like we did against the Eagles, it's just a recipe for disaster, and there's zero chance of winning games when your defense continuously not only gives up points, but just lets them milk the clock over and over again. It makes your offense sit ice cold on the sideline. It's just a recipe for failure. And Zach Wilson's never going to be able to pad his stats with that type of mindset from the defense. So I think the defense has a big task ahead of them. And I think they're a big, culprit of whether Zach Wilson has a good game or not, because what we saw against the Eagles was totally disgraceful. We finally see Zach Wilson in rhythm. We finally see a confident rookie quarterback. He looks like his BYU self. He looks like he's rolling to his right. He's stepping up. He's making these throws. And then he sits on the sideline for almost 2 hours. That is inexcusable. So I think that's really my thoughts about the Jets-Saints game. I'm going to make more preview videos about that coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for that on the channel. But I appreciate the question. So, guys, that's going to really wrap up this stream. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We got 72 people watching. And how many likes do we got right now? We got 38 likes. So if you guys want to smash that like button for me on your way out of the stream, it would mean a lot to me. It takes 2 seconds, helps out the stream a ton, makes a lot of people around the YouTube community find the channel so we can grow this awesome Jets media community higher and higher. And guys, we really do appreciate all the support during the highs and the lows on Victory Mondays. I appreciate you guys coming in. On Losing Mondays, you guys still come in. So
on Fat L Mondays.
On Fat L Mondays, no matter if the Jets are winning, we're losing. I appreciate all the support on Jets Media. It really does mean a lot to the channel. It really does. This is my passion, and I feel very thankful to be part of such a phenomenal fan base of the Jets. Yes, Jets fans can be crazy. We can be toxic, but the reason is we're all passionate, and I'm excited to be through this process with you guys. So with that being said, Jack, is there anything you want to say before we finish off the stream today?
You said it all, my man. You put it beautifully. Thanks for all the support always to everybody in the chat and everybody out there listening, and we will catch you next time.
Yes, sir. Ali?
Yeah, man, it's always an honor sitting with you guys on this panel and just talking Jets football with you guys, interacting with the guys in the chat. It's always a good time. So see you guys next week, and hopefully we have a Victory Monday next week.
Yeah, let's hope. Not going to be easy, but we'll get the job done. Optimism, right? I don't know how I feel about that game. You'll
I'm predicting an L.
Jack's predicting an L. You'll guys hear my predictions on Touchdown Kingdom, and my predictions on Jets Media, my flight preview. Ali's predicting a W. So
upset,
trap game.
Let's go, baby.
I love it. All right, guys. Love all the support. Smash that like button for your boy. And thank you, Wesley. I see you in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Edward, Jacob, EG. How about them Jets? 49er Media. Welcome in, man. JJ, Rachel, everybody in the chat. I appreciate all the support, guys. And that does it for this video. Let's go, Jets. See you guys.